Today I want to talk about something many people hear in the news but don't fully understand: why Western countries do not want a Muslim or Islamic country to have nuclear weapons. It's a very big issue, and what we're told is not always the full truth. Most times when a Muslim country tries to build nuclear weapons or even just nuclear energy, Western governments say it's dangerous. They say we're afraid they might use it for war or terrorism. But if we look closely, this isn't really the main reason. There are many countries in the world that already have nuclear weapons. The United States has thousands. Russia too. China has them. France and Britain also do. Even Israel, though they don't admit it openly, has a large number of nuclear bombs. India has them. North Korea has them. But when it comes to a Muslim country like Iran or Pakistan or any other Islamic state wanting to develop such power, the world reacts in fear. Why? The answer is simple. It's not because they think Muslims are crazy or want to kill everyone. It's because they know that a Muslim country that has nuclear weapons becomes hard to control. That's what they fear: losing control. Western countries have a long history of controlling weaker nations, especially in Africa, the Middle East and Asia. They do this through money, through military power, and sometimes by placing puppet leaders who follow their orders. But a country that has nuclear weapons becomes strong and independent. They can't easily threaten it with war, they can't force it to obey. And if that country is Islamic, guided by the Quran and the fear of Allah, then it becomes even more difficult for them. A true Muslim does not fear people. He does not fear America, Britain or any leader. He fears only Allah. The Quran says in Surah At-Tawbah, verse 51, "Say, nothing will happen to us except what Allah has written for us. He is our protector." This belief makes a Muslim brave. It makes a Muslim nation stand firm. And this is the real reason why powerful nations become afraid, because they cannot control a people who fear only God. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also taught Muslims to be strong. He said, "The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak one, though there is good in both." So Islam does not teach Muslims to be weak or to let others oppress them. Islam teaches us to be strong, just and free. Now look at history. In 1953, Iran had a government that wanted to control its own oil and resources. But Britain and America removed that government because it didn't follow their interests. In 2003, they invaded Iraq and destroyed it completely, saying Saddam had nuclear weapons. But later the world saw there were no such weapons. It was a lie. In Libya, Gaddafi gave up his nuclear program to please the West. But a few years later, NATO attacked, Gaddafi was killed, and Libya was left in chaos. These are all Muslim countries, and this is what happens when they are weak. But look at Pakistan. It has nuclear weapons. Since it became a nuclear power, no Western country has dared to invade it. This is not by accident. When a Muslim country becomes strong, it earns respect. That's the reality. But even stronger than nuclear weapons is the belief system Muslims carry: the Holy Quran. The Quran is not just a religious book. It is a guide for life, law, politics, and power. The Quran trains the Muslim heart to stand for justice, to speak the truth, to be patient, and to never be afraid of anyone but Allah. In Surah Al-Isra, verse 9, the Quran says, "Indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most right." And in another place, Surah Al-Qamar, it says, "We have made the Quran easy to remember, so who will take a lesson?" So when a country is ruled by people who follow the Quran, and that country becomes powerful, it cannot be controlled by outsiders. It won't accept lies. It won't bow to pressure. It won't sell its people or its land for dollars. And this is what really makes them afraid. Not the bomb, but the faith. Now you may ask, but doesn't Islam promote peace? Yes, absolutely. Islam is a religion of peace, but not weakness. Islam allows defense. Islam commands justice. The Quran says in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 60, "Prepare whatever force you can to strike fear into the hearts of the enemies of Allah and your enemies." But the very next verse says, "And if they incline to peace, then you should also incline to peace and trust in Allah." So the message is clear. Muslims should be strong enough to defend themselves, but they should never be unjust, never be the oppressor. In the end, What the West truly fears is not destruction. They have more weapons than any Muslim country can ever dream of. What they fear is the rise of a Muslim nation that cannot be bought, cannot be controlled, and cannot be silenced. A nation that is guided by the Quran, not by fear. A people who believe that real power comes from Allah, not from bombs or money. This is the real reason behind the fight to stop Muslims from gaining nuclear strength. But what they fail to see is that Muslims already have something more powerful. The Quran and a heart that says, "I fear no one but Allah." That is the weapon they cannot destroy. That is the power they cannot control. And that is what truly makes them afraid. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, drop a comment and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share more Islamic knowledge with the world. May Allah reward you with goodness. Till next time, may the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be with you.